Bonjour à tous et bienvenue ce soir pour le meet-up Azure Québec, de la communauté Azure Québec. Ce soir, on a le plaisir de recevoir Roy. Roy qui est un Microsoft MVP de Toronto, qui va nous faire une présentation en anglais sur Overview of Hosting LLM and RAG Engine on Azure Kubernetes with KAITO. If you are also interested to speak at this meetup, feel free to reach me. I will switch in English, but I'm already speaking English. Yeah, hello everyone. Today's the presentation will be in English, and we are very glad to have Roy with us. Roy is a Microsoft MVP from Toronto. Welcome, Roy, and thank you so much for this presentation. And now the floor is for you. Thank you all.
Okay, thank you, Max. Thank you, Tijani. Bonjour. I'm from Toronto. Basically born and raised. And thank you for having me at your Quebec meetup. So yeah, a little bit about me. My name is Roy Kim. I've been working with Azure Microsoft Platform for quite a number of years. I have a strong development background as well. And so today's talk is about overview of hosting large language models or open source language models and Retrieval-Augmented Generation engine on Azure Kubernetes with the Kubernetes AI toolchain operator that can be installed on Kubernetes. So let's just get right into it. What is KAITO? It's an AI toolchain operator. It's an add-on into Kubernetes. It's its own open source project, and it automates the deployment and infrastructure and provisioning of open source or open-weighted language models like 5.4, Falcon, Mistral. And some of these models can be found on Hugging Face, and also KAITO orchestrates the provisioning of node pools that require GPUs, right? So for NVIDIA GPUs and such, right? And also provision or deploy your inference endpoints, like your language model, kind of your API endpoints or RAG embeddings model for RAG. So you can check it out, the KAITO project GitHub project there, and then there's instructions. So I'll just do a quick overview of kind of the installation process. So I made this diagram where I have a resource group and you have like a bare Kubernetes cluster, right? And then you have your, let's say, your system node pool, right? So first of all, when you start to install the Kubernetes KAITO, there's some workspaces, CRDs, machines like Carpenter, and that creates a workspace controller. Another thing that is needed is to enable OIDC issuer and workload identity. And then with that, deploy or create a managed identity that has contributor role assignments, right? Or that's the setup that I have in my demo, right? And also in the basic installation guide. So next is installing kind of the GPU provisioner. So there's a service account, and then that service account needs to have work with your managed identity to have a federated credential in order for the GPU provisioner to create Azure resources like virtual machine scales, like virtual machine scale set or VM nodes with GPUs, right? So it gives it that ability or that permissions. So and next is, well, like basically at this point, KAITO is installed and set up, right? So next is deploying or applying a Kubernetes manifest that declaratively says, hey, I want to have a Microsoft 5.4 language model against a GPU, like a node pool, let's say, right? And so when that happens is the KAITO kind of operator will kind of orchestrate and do its magic to create the node pool and also pull the Docker image of, let's say, that language model. In this case, Falcon 7B, right? So this one is a small language model with 7 billion parameters, right? So that's the overall flow. And then once you have that, then you can go against the inference endpoints, right? So you can just do a simple test like a curl pod, a curl AI prompt, right, with a prompt message, right? So that's that. So let me go into a demo here. So here I built this chatbot with Streamlit, and so oops, sorry, not well, hold on a sec. Sorry, yep, it's this one right here. So this one right here, right here, I point through an ingress, as in my demo, and I'm able to choose between, let's say, just your 5.4 language model that's deployed. Okay, so how that looks like from a Kubernetes cluster. Let's see here. So if we have node pools, right? So I've already provisioned. So this is this. Let's make it bigger, for people to see better in recordings. So we have a node pool right here. So this is a system node pool. One of them is for the 5.4 language model. All right. So yeah, that's one. Yeah. So it's defined right here, 5.4, kind of the mini model. And you can tell the machine type is a GPU type, right? And then if we see here the node size, it's a standard NCS v3, okay? And if we ever want to cross-check, let's say what that the specs are for that. So here we can see that there are 6 cores, virtual CPUs, and there's one GPU, right? And that GPU is NCS v3. So this is a bit of an old, quite a bit older kind of SKU, like VM, sorry, NVIDIA Tesla V100, right? So it is kind of maybe, yeah, it is kind of quite old, but again, I use this in my demo because it is cheaper, right? So to get an idea, so you're available in 23 regions, starting at 2,280 per month. So as you guys know, having these NVIDIA GPUs are pretty scarce and very, very expensive, right? To power your language models, to host your language models, also to do inference and also fine-tuning open-weighted language models, right? So that's how that looks like, what that looks like. And so one little tip is that if you want to deploy these, you have to check in your subscription to look at your quota. So by default, a lot of these NVIDIAs, the quota is set to 0. So you need to, depending on what kind of Azure plan you have, like pay-as-you-go or anything, you have to check kind of what's allowed. Typically, well, in my experience, in my demos, I would need to do a support request to Azure and kind of justify and to do that. So it doesn't come freely, right? And if you're doing demos, obviously you gotta shut them off. Don't let it linger. You're working your demo and then you take a break, go have dinner and all. I'm pretty careful to that level. I try to get a bunch of tasks that I want to finish in a couple hours, try to do them, don't get up, then just shut it down, right? And get back. So that's how I, in a dev workflow, how I manage the costs, right? So you can always manage to deploy the node pools individually. That's what I do. And let's see here. If you want to, let's say, manage, there's some kubectl. Let's see here. So make it so kubectl get workspace. Okay, so that workspace is a custom kind, and we can see here that that language model was deployed 5.4 mini. Okay, and when you deploy this, it actually takes like around 10 to 15 minutes. It's very time consuming, right? It's provisioning the node pool, and then also bringing down and downloading the Docker image, because they're pretty big, like many gigabytes of storage space, right? That needs to be brought into your cluster. And so to get a look at, let's say, a YAML file for this 5.4 mini, it's basically this, right? So KAITO has this custom CRD, and really the main thing is what's the instance type. The N is for kind of GPU node based, and also the preset, which is the language model. Okay, and so the magic, right, or the value add with KAITO is that just by saying kubectl apply all this, just provisions all that I mentioned in that slide that I shared, right, the animated slide. Okay, so let's see here. So why don't we go back to this thing right here, right? Oh no, sorry, that's the wrong. Keep going the wrong chatbot. Let's see. Okay, back to this one. So okay, this one. So I pointed to 5.4, and what I like to do as a test, I like to say, who are you, like, to the language model. Oh, okay. Whoops. So every now and then it kind of acts up this way. Interestingly, so it would kind of, I guess, hallucinate it right off the bat. But let me try that again. It happens like 1 out of 25 times. Oh, whoops. No, I wanted to show it. Whoops. Let me stop that. Okay, I want to go 5.4. Okay. Okay, so there we go. That was pretty fast. So I am Phi, an AI developed by Microsoft, here to assist you with any questions, right? And of course, we can ask any prompt we'd like and to get information. But let me try this prompt right here. So right here, what is the island of Fantasia? So pay attention to this response, because I'm going to show next a Retrieval-Augmented Generation demo where I complement or supplement this language model to have additional knowledge through the KAITO RAG Engine, right, where we can ingest other documents or data or knowledge. So here, what is the island of Fantasia? So we're really querying kind of the knowledge that this model has been trained with, right? So if I ask that, the island of Fantasia is a fictional place that originates from the Disney animated film Fantasia, which is released in 1940. Okay, cool. So it has that type of understanding, right? Next is, let's prompt it, what is the Fantasia citizen code? right, or the FCC. Right. So one thing to notice here is that the Fantasia Citizen Code does not respond with any widely recognized legal or regulatory framework of my last update of April 2023. Okay, cool. So this, from here, I want to introduce you, well, how do I give some custom knowledge around my own idea of what the island of Fantasia should be and its rules and regulation for its citizens. Okay, and that's where the RAG engine comes in. Okay, so let me go back to my slide here. So RAG, I'm sure we heard RAG quite a bit here. So Retrieval-Augmented Generation. So here we're able to retrieve relevant documents from a knowledge base. Okay, and then provide the context of the retrieved relevant documents to an LLM, and then from there we can generate an accurate answer grounded in that data. Okay, so so in my demo, my next part of my demo, the problem statement I'm trying to address, let's say here, is let's say we're an organization, we store lots of private documents, right? And of course, any language model we work with wouldn't know about, corporate policies, HR manuals, contracts, customer records, customer service tickets, etc. Right? So we want to bring that custom or proprietary knowledge to work with language models, right? So it's to give that language model additional knowledge and have the language model bring in that intelligence to answer questions based on the, let's say, the intelligence, let's say, of the language model, and also private documents and data, right? So how do we do that? Where we want to search semantically, right, with a large language model, and also serve in a highly regulated environment. So let's say that you do want to work with private documents, but due to security policies or with customers, or compliance, rules, it's just not viable to send private documents, through third-party language models, right? That are like software, like PaaS, platform as a service, right? That's not hosted within the security and network boundaries of an organization, right? So we want to control that inbound. So the big value add is that with KAITO and AKS is that we get to host RAG solution, the RAG engine, also the language models internally, right, within our the corporate private cloud. Okay, so that's the big thing, or you can coin it as like kind of local LLMs, right? So that's the big value add that you get with KAITO and on AKS. So my demo is the goal is to ask questions in natural language and get accurate answers that LLMs don't have knowledge about, right? That are not aware about. Okay, so in terms of architecture and its data flow, let me walk you through how the RAG engine works, right? So first of all, you have a set of documents, right? PDFs, Word docs, web pages, text files, right? So in my demo, the RAG engine, or out of the box RAG, it just really works with text files. But if you're to have an ingestion pipeline, you need to develop or have software tools or components that will take PDFs and read out like tables and footers and headers or paragraphs and convert them into text. So there's quite a bit of open source tools out there, scripts as well. I think one called Dockling or something, or no, sorry, not Dockling. But yeah, there's quite a few out there. But at the end of the day, need to ingest it as text. So the RAG engine is another piece of KAITO that you can install. It has an API for ingesting documents, chunking them, applying metadata on your chunks, and also a vector store, right? A vector database, and also to work against an embeddings model, right? So it can also host an embeddings model that takes each chunk of text and vectorize it into a very large array, right? That captures semantic meaning of that chunk, right? So that when you ask a question, you do something called vector, similarity search, or there's some techniques called cosine similarity. So we'll get more into that a bit later. But yeah, those chunk text has to be turned into embeddings, and that this itself is another model that can be deployed. And those embeddings are stored into the vector store, right? The embeddings along with metadata, like author, created by, document type. So you can apply any metadata as you wish, right? And then so at this point, the RAG engine or the vector database is set up to have this, let's say, custom knowledge. Now, the next part, the other side of the coin, is that, okay, you have a chat application, and then you want to query, ask questions, right? But you want to ask questions against, topics or what would be in the documents that were ingested, right? You're not really questioning on LLM, knowledge, right? So what you have here is you have a user query, and that goes into the prompt, and therefore it takes that prompt and it goes against the embeddings model, turns that into a vector, and then it searches with that vector, right? It doesn't really search with the natural text. It searches with the vector, like this floating point array, right? And then in the vector space, it will try to match in terms of semantics, right? As opposed to more kind of like lexical or like keywords and such. So that's where the RAG has its strength, is semantic similarity searching. So once it searches that, it retrieves relevant chunks. You can, maybe it will retrieve like 3 or 4 chunks, maybe 2 with scoring attached to it. So once it finds the chunks, then what can happen is that the a prompt with the user query along with the retrieved content. Again, there could be some processing here, pre-processing kind of with custom logic to determine, okay, we're going to include the highest scoring chunk, or or all of them, and then let the language model come up with an intelligent answer based on the original query and the provided retrieved content. And then at the end comes an intelligent response with that. So let me pause for a bit. If there's any questions, maybe coming from YouTube Live or anyone, or okay. So continuing on with that. Okay, let me turn back to my demo. So let's see here. All right. So back to the demo. We have here, I want to change my this chatbot, changing to the RAG engine. All right. And then I click new chat just to clear that up. So the way I built this up, okay, before I do that, I just want to, like, obviously this code, this app is in my GitHub repo. You know, search under Roy Kim YYZ. And I have a bunch of demos right here. You know, how does my own way of setting up KAITO right here, and an Ingest controller, and some of the selected language models. All right, so you can look that up here. And the Streamlit chatbot app, the code is right here as well. Okay, so back to the app right here. Okay, so I'm pointing to the RAG engine this time, and one thing I can say is, let's say, who are you? It's gonna fail. So well, let's just see. Okay. Usually it comes up pretty quick, but all right, or let me try different in my prompt library. Let me try this one. Okay, so again, it comes up with Island of Fantasia is a fictional place, and there's really nothing in the RAG index. But the first thing we need to do is document ingestion. So I got this pretty cool feature here, just kind of like a management console. What I want to do is I want to create an index. I'm going to create a new index called RAG index. You can have multiple indexes, and so let's paste some content here, right? So I have one set up. Go to my docs. I have Fantasia. So okay, actually, maybe it's easier to see through here. So okay, so here we have a markdown file, Fantasia citizen code. Okay, it's, you know, fictitious, and if you can see with them the table of contents, right? There's you know, citizenship and civic duties, public order, commerce, environment, transportation, harbor rules, etc. So, you know, I generated some fictitious kind of rules and regulations, laws, right, for this island of Fantasia, right? And so this is to be ingested, right? So let me take the copy here. Okay, go to I can upload it, or I can paste it. Let's do paste, so that that whole document is pasted. So I do ingest pasted text. Okay, cool. It created the RAG index, and also you see here there were 5 chunks. Okay, and so you can see scrolling down, the end of this chunk ends up here, title 2 public order. But if we see in this chunk, we see it continues on from here, and then you got some, you know, overlapping, which is intentional, right? Because the language model can see that there's a relationship between these chunks, and they're kind of part of the same document, right? So that's another chunk, and we go chunk number 2, 3, and 4. Okay, great. So whoops. Okay, so in the index browser, so I have this capability where we have an index browser. Let's see here. Let me select the index, and here I'm able to see all the documents or chunks that were ingested. So before this presentation, I ingested something called like Azure kind of SOC 2 fictitious document, Northwind Corporation, SOC 2 aligned security controls, right? And we can see for this one I just did a moment ago, we can see that chunk, we're able to view the chunk there. Okay, so the data is ingested into the RAG, and now we can ask questions. Okay, so we go to home. Okay, we're still pointing to the RAG engine. And oh yeah, keep in mind, we still need to point to a language model, right? So I have that helps with the grounding, right? So it's that last step where the retrieve content, your user prompt, and then that is sent to a language model of choice to come up with an intelligent answer. So it's not the RAG engine that will help do the answering. The RAG engine helps with the similarity search. It's basically a semantic search engine, let's say, right? Okay, cool. So I can always tweak around the temperature, etc. These things. And then I have my prompt library. So just, preset prompts. So let's go back to that very first question, right? Fantasia Island. So what is the island of Fantasia? Right, so let's try that out. So this time it goes, the island of Fantasia is a fictional jurisdiction created for the purpose of document ingestion in the vector database. The laws and rules described in Fantasia Citizen Code are part of this fictional universe. So that's exactly it, right? That's exactly what I've outlined in my document here that I just ingested, right? So, it's intended for use, demo for vector database and RAG, and its set of kind of rules and regulations. Okay, so we got that going, and the cool thing is, as I'm building out these kind of, let's say, agents or AI applications, it's always good practice to have some debugging, tracing, logic, because you want to understand kind of what's happening behind the scenes, right? So, here I'm validating, yes, it is going against 5.4 mini instruct. Yes, it is going against the RAG index. And in terms of RAG token enforcement or response JSON, we here see source nodes. And the source nodes are the document chunks that were retrieved, right? So it was only one, right? So I believe that the search only needed to know this chunk to answer that question, like what is the island of Fantasia, right? It is described in the first paragraph, right? So it would take that plus my query and come up with a sensible answer. And to me, I don't know, looks pretty good, right? So, okay, so moving on.
Maybe if you have 2 minutes, Roy, we have a question in
Sure,
the
yeah,
chat.
of course. Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
And
I love
we have
questions.
someone who asked, how would this compare to, let's say, running an LLM using Docker model run, or maybe the intent is completely different?
Sorry, repeat that again.
Yeah, the person wants to know how that is different from a Docker model run.
Docker model realm? Like, sorry.
Yes.
Let's see here. So do you mind writing that in the chat?
Yeah, sure.
Copy and paste that in the.
You can use that in the chat, or I can copy paste. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm not. Sometimes my hearing is not that great at all.
Yeah, no worries.
I'm getting really old.
Let me share that with you.
Oh, how would this compare to say? Okay, I saw that.
Yeah.
Let's say running an LLM using Docker model run. Okay. Sorry, I'm not familiar with Docker model run. Don't know what that is. Yeah, didn't come across that. Maybe you're ahead of me on that learning curve, or maybe the intent is completely different here. But yeah, if you can rephrase that question, running LLM using Docker model run. Maybe Docker model run is another platform to run local models. Yeah, Olama. I heard of Olama. Never really played around with it. I would think like Olama, maybe those are good for like your dev workflow, maybe for kind of personal like hobbyist scenarios. AKS and is more it's more heavy, I would say. But as I just showed you, like running, declaratively all these things, you get access to those GPUs, right? According to your Azure plan, those, because some of those those LLMs, right? Let's see here if I can quickly find that. Like, there's one that I like to check out is GPT. Oh yeah, there's DeepSeek. I played on DeepSeek, right? But then they H100, like that's a pretty heavy one, right? So AKS platform can get you, or the ability to get that. Like, I don't know if Docker Run or Olama or, as access, if those are meant to be running kind of like in your, like locally, let's say, or in a private cloud virtual machine. But the whole point is KAITO, you can get these pretty declaratively. So I'm sure there's pros and cons with each, but I would say with AKS, if your organization or your project is very AKS friendly, you guys are already using Kubernetes cluster, you guys your engineers are already familiar with that with Azure, maybe this is the way to go. If you're not in tune with Azure or AKS, but maybe with AWS or EKS or GCP or private cloud scenarios, and maybe you want to tack on LM Studio, Olama, or those. So sorry, I never really play around with those. So hopefully that answers and what AKS brings to the table. So, but feel free to ask a follow-up.
You actually, you actually nailed it, because from an operational standpoint, if you're already using Azure, so you already have everything you need from an operational standpoint. Bringing another tool to the table means more learning curve, other runbooks to operate this new tool. So you nailed the question, actually. Thank you very much.
Okay, great. No, thanks for that. Thanks for the question. If you got any more, please have it coming. I love the dialogue. Okay, great.
Perfect.
Yeah, thank you. So okay, so we have that. Okay, so let's so we have that. Okay, let's try some other prompts in my prompt library. So something more, a little bit more specific. What is the Fantasia citizen code? So remember, I ran this before the ingested documents without the RAG engine. So okay, so here the Fantasia citizen code is a fictional document, outlines laws and regulations, such as citizenship and civic duties, public order, community standards, and more. So that pretty much, yeah, I would say that aligns, right? So let's see here, citizenship and civic duties, public order. So I would say that matches up pretty good. Okay, and of course, I have some other debugging information, application logs, kind of the chat interactions that's happening, I found very important to help with the debugging, right? Okay, let's try another one. Let's say here, FCC party. Okay, so this one a little bit more kind of complex. Hopefully you can see here. So I'll read out loud. Can I play loud music when it is my birthday at midnight in my backyard? It is a special birthday and I will be having 100 friends and family. So can I play, the key thing is, can I play loud music at midnight? Okay, is there any laws or regulations against that, and what will it say? So before I do that, again, let me show you, there's a specific law or rule. Okay, right here. So public order and community standards, quiet lantern hours. Quiet lantern hours are between 21:30 and 6:30 daily. So basically you cannot, play loud music, cannot be 150 meters from hospitals, 80 meters of residential blocks, all public libraries, etc. Okay, so so let's ask that, and it's going to really target this, hopefully. Okay, and then keep in mind, I added more context in the prompt, like it is a special birthday and I will be having 200 friends and family to celebrate. I'm adding this part of the text to maybe confuse the language model and the RAG semantic search, right? I'm trying to attempt to confuse it, right? So let's run that. Okay, cool. So in Fantasia, the quiet lantern hours are observed between 21:30 and 6:30 daily. So that's good. It just matched up with what I just showed, right? During which amplified sound is generally prohibited within 150 meters in hospitals. So which was in that document, 80 meters within residential blocks, etc. And then it starts to address like my party, my celebration. However, if your celebration is close to any of these areas, you would need to ensure your music does not violate the quiet lantern hours regulations. If your celebration within residential block or close enough, you may need to keep the volume down, etc. So so it goes pretty good in detail, talking about like different scenarios and nuances around, if your celebration is in a residential area, how close it is to like hospitals, etc. I would say that's pretty good, right? I think this model, although it's like considered a mini and small model and pretty old, it's still, and it came out pretty fast too, right? See here, did I have some metrics on the response time? So yeah, 3.8 seconds, not too bad. So it was able to come up with a pretty good answer right there, right? So I'll pause here if any other questions with that. Okay, cool. So so that's pretty much kind of concluding kind of my demo here, showing document ingestion and being able to ask questions. So let's see here. Allow me to open up for, let's see here. Whoops. So for Q&A here, if anybody has any questions, in the YouTube live or anything. So
yeah, I'm not seeing any additional question in the chat. Maybe we can give 1 minute. Thank you so much. That was very interesting to see a talk about AI, LLM, RAG. I believe right now that is a reality of a lot of organization. A lot of organization are switching to AI, try to do also LLM project with internal LLM, and they are doing RAG on their document. Thank you so much, Roy, for this presentation. And for all the attendees, if you're interested, go to the YouTube of Roy. From what I have already seen, he is recording a ton of video about Kubernetes. You have also his blog. Someone in the chat says, thank you, Roy. Thank you, Maxime. Yeah, cool.
All right. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, guys.
Tijani, do you have any additional content you want to add, or any additional words about the Azure community of Quebec?
Not right now. So just stay in touch with us through the Meetup website, and we'll let you know for our upcoming sessions and events.
Cool.
Thank you very much, Roy.
Thank you so much, and have a great evening. Thank you, Roy.
Yeah, thank you, guys. Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, good night. Take care. Bye.
You too. Bye.